Hey you guys, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Tonight is a special video as part of Dee Dee's Black History Month here on YouTube. First, I want to thank Dee Dee so much for including me in this fantastic project. I will leave a link to her channel down below so that you guys can go and take a look at the other videos and booktubers that are participating in this month of events, and also check out the schedule for the rest of the month. Dee Dee posts a video for each week and each video that will be uploaded during the week. So today is my night to upload, and I chose to do a showcase of my favorite books on my bookshelf right now, written by African American authors. This list in no way includes all of my favorites, but it is just a showcase of the actual books that I have in physical form on my shelf. So let's get started. The first book I want to showcase tonight is A Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. This is an autobiography, and I am by no means a fan of autobiographies, but this one right here is a fantastic story about Elaine Brown. It chronicles her rise to power in the Black Panther Party. So not only is it just a great story, it's also a piece of history. She is the first female chairman of the Black Panther Party, and I want to share a snippet from the book that hopefully entices you to pick it up and have a read. Alone, thinking, rocking, I began to hear the sounds of the old repetitive piano scales that filled my youth. Like the other pieces of my childhood, they were morsels of life scavenged by my mother, trying to drown out the sound of scurrying gutter rats and escape the despair. I began to taste the air of Atlantic City, remembering how my mother had squeezed her sweatshop salary to dress up my childhood with vacations there, to pay for a decent hotel room even if it was not one close to the beach, where hotel rooms were for whites only. I felt the cold of New Year's Day when we watched Philadelphia's Murmurs Parade, where whites wore blackface and blacks were not allowed to participate. I could smell the soap and talcum powder of summer baths on York Street, throughout which my mother sat with me to keep the roaches from falling into the tub. It was strange that such little remembrances would shock me into finally realizing that my mother had carried me on her back all those years. With her coarse lessons and hard ways, she had tried to steal a life from me. Nevertheless, I had felt the weight of our poverty, the indignity of our lives. I had experienced the pathetic, bustling joy of everybody in our neighborhood when somebody hit the number. I had heard the sorrow in the sound of bongos and doo-wops on North Philly streets, produced by gangs of wine-drinking young bloods, angry at all the wrong people. I had felt the degradation in the impossibility Nita and Barbara and the rest of us girls had known, trying to see beauty in our dark skin or on our full lips, or the texture of our African hair, or even the size and shape of our feet and derrieres. A Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. The next book I want to feature tonight is one of my all-time favorites, and it's a classic of African American literature. It is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. This is one of my favorite books. It is the only book that I've read several times. The reason why I read it several times is because when I initially read it, I was in middle school, or junior high school as I would refer to it. And I couldn't really grasp the fullness of it. So I've read this maybe about 3 times, and it's probably time for me to read it again. It's the story of a recluse who is living underground and stealing electricity from the city because he is invisible. Not physically invisible, but he's just not seen by the people around him. And I will share a paragraph of the prologue that kind of sums all of that up. I am an invisible man. No, I am not a spook like those who haunted Edgar Allan Poe, nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I am a man of substance, of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids, and I might even be said to possess a mind. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me. Like the bodiless heads you see sometimes in circus sideshows, it is as though I have been surrounded by mirrors of hard, distorting glass. When they approach me, they see only my surroundings, themselves or figments of their imagination, indeed everything and anything except me. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. So let's lighten up a little bit. I feel like those first two were a little heavy. So I'm going to review a couple of books that have been made into motion pictures, and they are absolute favorites of mine. And also another book that I am so passionate about. So first book I want to feature that has been made into a motion picture is Waiting to Exhale by Terry McMillan. This one is a must-have for me. It is the story of 4 women and a grand friendship that they share. And even though they are all in different stages of their lives, they still have a way of coming together and supporting each other and being there for any and everything. I don't have any snippets that I can share with you guys out of this one because every part that I love is just a little raunchy for the channel. So I'm not going to share any snippets out of this one, but I hope that you will at least pick up the book or check out the movie. I'm sure it is on Netflix if you've never seen it before. Waiting to Exhale by Terry McMillan. Oh, this one. This one is one of my favorite books and one of my favorite movies. It is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This book won Alice Walker the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. It also won her the National Book Award for fiction, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken on that one, but I don't think I am. It's awesome. If you've never heard of The Color Purple, either the movie or the book, you might be living under a rock. I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody, but who has not heard of The Color Purple? Anyway, The Color Purple is basically the story of an African-American woman struggling to survive in the rural South at a time where the life of an African-American woman is not valued by anyone, by men of her own race or men or women of the Caucasian race. And I do have a short piece that I could share with you. It's part of a larger part of the story that I love, but it's just the ending. Man corrupt everything, say Suge. He on your box of grits in your head and all over the radio. He try to make you think he everywhere. Soon as you think he everywhere, you think he God, but he ain't. Whenever you trying to pray and man pop himself on the other side of it, tell him to get lost, say Suge. Conjure up flowers, wind, water, a big rock. But this hard work, let me tell you. He been there so long, he don't want to budge. He threaten lightning, floods, and earthquakes. Us fight. I hardly pray at all. Every time I conjure up a rock, I throw it. Amen. I love this. I would suggest that if you've never heard of The Color Purple, that you actually read the book instead of seeing the movie because the book has so much more to it than the movie could ever contain. The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Oh, this next one right here is one of my favorites. If you have been subscribed to my channel for a while, I hope that you watched my review for The Darkest Child by Dolores Phillips. This is a debut novel for Dolores Phillips, and I hope that she's somewhere sitting in the corner or in an office just writing her hiney off, because this one right here is entertainment. Let me tell you. If you haven't watched my review, just please go back in the history of videos and watch my review so you can understand the excitement I have for this one. I don't have a snippet that I could read for you out of here because the pieces that I love actually are big parts of the story. So it is the story of Tangi May, and she is one of 10 children, of which she is the darkest child. It chronicles her life from young adolescence to adulthood and the struggles that she faces trying to be her own woman in a time of just poverty and difficulty and segregation. So all those themes are there. Take a look at my review for this one, and if you need some drama in your life, you know, just for entertainment purposes, pick up The Darkest Child by Dolores Phillips. The final book that I want to showcase tonight is actually not a novel at all. It is a collection of poetry called Love Poems by Nikki Giovanni. Can you guys see that? That's better. Love Poems by Nikki Giovanni. I love poetry. I think it's one of the most beautiful forms of expression ever. And I am going to share a piece of one of my favorite poems and a complete poem that I love out of this one, and that will be all for the night. Here's the first stanza of a poem entitled Resignation. I love you because the earth turns around the sun, because the north wind blows north sometimes, because the Pope is Catholic and most rabbis Jewish, because winters flow into springs and the air clears after a storm, because only my love for you, despite the charms of gravity, keeps me from falling off this earth into another dimension. I love you because it is the natural order of things. Isn't that pretty? I love that. The last poem I want to share with you is In All Seasons. I have no quarrel with the energy of spring. I rather enjoy the baying of the winds, calling to the new moons. I like the daytime heat and the nighttime cooling when spring comes around. As a lover of tomatoes, my own homegrown, I respect the heat of a summer's day. I TV the Atlanta Braves and cheer my head off for the #1 place. Yes, summer is clearly an important time of year. We incubate the earth to enjoy its fruits. And fall, autumn is also welcomed by we. Though I can't, can, and don't quilt, I polish my old leather boots and air my blankets. I stack my wood and illegally record my winter's movies from my video rental place. I watch the moon and wait. I love the smell of winter soup simmering all day on the stove, the white caps of the mountaintop as I anticipate the white hair on my head, signaling not my physical survival so much as my emotional commitment to continue the adventure of life in all seasons. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.